How's everyone today?
Before we get started, I just want to ask, Ken, your third eye, any floaters?
Today we're looking pretty cloudy.
Oh, you're looking cloudy today. Oh no.
That's how I'm feeling.
All right.
Yes, that's how I'm feeling.
We won't dive too far into that, I guess.
Please clap.
Please clap.
Anyone remember that Jeb Bush meme?
That's the perfect intro. That's the perfect way to start this.
Please clap was one of the saddest things I think I've ever witnessed on the internet.
Yeah, that was horrendous.
Like easily.
That was truly terrible.
So welcome back to the Packie Run podcast. Today's a special. Well, I'm your host Dan Mayott with.
I'm your host. Yeah, I'm your host AJ La Gambina, and we're back. You already said it. It's a very special episode. We've got a very special guest here to bullshit with us more than we already bullshit.
Yeah, that is so true.
Ken Fabian, you're here.
AKA psychicADVANCE.
Hi.
Yeah, you're in the chat.
It's me, Psychic.
Yes.
We are online.
Brought to you by Facebook. We're not sponsored by Facebook, but this is how we're able to connect on this call. Mark Zuckerberg, if you're listening to this,
please stop.
Please stop.
Get away. Go somewhere else.
Stop.
Go be awkward somewhere else. What?
Exactly.
Yeah, we're usually when we call out a brand or something, I will just say, "Hey, please sponsor us," because I want that money. But I don't want that Facebook money. That's like drug money. I don't want it.
It's like drug mule money.
I don't want it.
Yeah, no, that's dirty.
So yeah, usually welcome to the podcast, Ken. Usually we start off by if we don't immediately just start talking about how our days have been, we talk about what we're drinking. So we'll let you lead off. What are you consuming?
Well, first, why don't we do a little intro about Ken, or psychicADVANCE, whatever you. So talk about yourself, Ken.
Well, okay. It all started one day in 1998 when I was born. So that's the first part.
Okay, so let me get this straight. First, you were born.
No.
And then
yeah, I was definitely born at some point.
Okay.
Anyways, I make music under the name psychicADVANCE, so I guess that's where this all starts. Was in 2018 now. Yeah, it was 2018 that I started making music under this name. It all started with, I guess, with AJ. Actually, he was kind of there for the inception of it with a couple singles we did, and then that was actually one of the only times we really ever recorded together, weirdly enough, because we've pretty much worked consistently since then.
True.
But my first album was called Water.
Stream it.
And you can stream it. Yeah, it's on the internet. And that was a good time. It was really to be concise about it, I would say it was really like it was relaxing, I guess, but it was also very like sad boy, like I was kind of bitching. So
fair
assessment. that's sort of what that was. And then after that happened, I'd made a Christmas album. AJ has mixed all of this, by the way. He like mixes all my music pretty much. And we did a Christmas album last year. That was fun. It's called A Very Psychic Christmas. You can also stream that. And now we're looking at psychicADVANCE. That's a little history. Me personally, I'm a human being from New York.
So yeah, like Ken said, I do a bunch of mixing work for psychicADVANCE. Occasionally a little bit of, I guess you could call it producing, in that I cut and make edits and stuff, and have played on 2, maybe 3 songs.
Here and there. That's always fun.
Especially, I think the only one that's like super noteworthy that was like an actual addition to anything was Thought So off of Water. That bass part at the end.
Yeah.
I just felt
Classic.
I felt the song needed something, and there it was.
True.
Came out of my fingers,
Facts.
man. It was
That was
incredible. So yeah, obviously that's.
Isn't it weird?
So that's
how things come out of your fingers. That's all I was gonna say.
True. So that's how Ken and I know each other. How do you and Ken know each other?
We met, or anyone who is a listener and didn't go to the University of New Haven, that's where we met, and we eventually we were all in the same club, music industry club, Mike, as we call it, and just messed around, did a lot of cool things, and some of the leaders of it, I guess. I think that's where I met Ken. I don't remember our first conversation.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't remember our first conversation, but I remember the first time I saw you guys. And I remember like going into Mike and being super like. First of all, you guys intimidated me. And I also thought you guys were really cool. I thought you guys were so cool.
I'd never do that.
And you proved me wrong. No, you guys. I thought you were so cool when I first like came to school. I was fully like a kid. I was like,
I'm sorry that we disappointed you. I'm sorry that we never.
You guys are the best.
We never lived up. Never lived up to those first impressions.
No.
Yo, Dan's lights just turned off.
Absolutely thought you guys were really cool though.
Yeah, I gotta turn the lights back on. Just give me one
Good
second.
night, Dan.
I'll be back in a second. Don't talk too much shit about me.
This has already gone off the rails. I love it. This is gonna be a fun one to edit. So I guess I'll just vamp until Dan comes back. So yeah, done some mixing work for Ken, lifelong friend now. We do a lot of work together. You mentioned psychicADVANCE, which is the name of your second LP, due out when?
True.
I'm mixing the damn thing and I don't know.
Well, I guess it's kind of the third because like the Christmas album is sort of the second, but like that's also like our Christmas album's real. I don't know. Anyways, psychicADVANCE comes out June 20th. I'm very excited for it. We've been working on it. I mean, like I started the first song like that ended up being on it now probably like a year and change ago. So it's been kind of a long time coming for me, it feels like. But I guess a year isn't really that long to be working on an album, considering most people, I mean, a lot of people take a lot longer to work on albums, I guess. Which is like, it's whatever. So try not to stress about time.
For the people at home, we've got Water, which you said was kind of it was a little bit slower, a little bit more sad boy. I can attest to that. It's definitely an emo leaning album.
That's true. I feel like people talk about crying a lot about it.
Crying is water coming out of your face. So I guess there's a connection there.
They were streaming it in a more physical sense.
So
yes, they were really feeling it.
They were streaming it in a physical sense,
literally,
as opposed to a digital sense. I like that. So your second LP, what are you, in your own words, what differentiates it from Water? What's going to make psychicADVANCE advanced?
Well, so okay, for me, a lot of like making music is about like it's all performative. It's all very like, it's very tied for me in kind of like when I can play shows and that kind of thing. And
especially
when I was making psychicADVANCE, I wanted to have, you're right, yeah. When I was making psychicADVANCE, I wanted to have a really like a completely different sound. I wanted to go for something a little more within my computer and a little less in a band environment. But I also found that like something that was missing from my live performances was like an element of like a lot of fun, because I feel like I like to have a really good time when I'm performing, and I do have a lot of fun performing songs from Water, but I feel like because they're so emotionally like they kind of pull on you a little bit, like I feel like and they're all very mid-tempo or slower, so it kind of makes it like, I don't want to say it made my shows drag, but like I felt like there was an element of just like energy that
bunch of kids.
So for this one I wanted to make it fun. I wanted to make it like, I don't know, I wanted to make people dance a lot. That was definitely like a huge...
you didn't want a bunch of people standing around just being bummed.
Yeah, totally. And like even when people were really into it, it was still very like, there was like a weird melancholy, like, I don't know, a slowness to it that I was just like, nah, bro, I'm trying to like rage.
You've got the emo boy sway going on at psychic shows. Are you guys familiar?
Yeah, no more shoegazing.
Shoegazing is another great word
Tons of
for it. Just a lot of, the swaying back and forth. Oh yeah, I'm into this.
Yeah, later in the air.
I like the headbang, like the kind of like the nod. It's like not the metalhead nod, but like
the bounce.
You're just like, yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's more of a like a it's like a bounce up and down sort of thing.
You bounce into the beat. Yeah, nobody is going to be able to see what Dan just did because this is an audio medium. But he just like the way that the video presented it, he was like vibrating his head, which was amazing.
Yeah, I was going to say vibrating.
The Patriots training camp hat that he had on was just going a mile a minute. It was amazing.
He looked like a bobblehead. Y'all should make Dan Mayap bobbleheads. We need a Dan Mayap Funko
I love
Pop.
bobbleheads.
I think that's going to be our first piece of merch. Is going to be
a bobblehead.
Bobbleheads.
Dan Funkos.
I would love.
Why not koozies?
That might be more on the nose.
Why not?
Especially given the name.
That's like the most on-brand Dan answer. Why not?
But I would really love
koozies.
emoji.
I would really love.
You can tell I put some thought into it.
I would love a Dan Mayotte Funko Pop to just sit. Actually, you know what? I don't want a Dan Mayotte Funko Pop in my room. I don't want Dan watching me sleep. I got enough of that freshman year.
I mean, yeah.
Horrifying. We never talked about what we were drinking.
Yeah, we never did. We'll get back into more about your music in a sec. But what is everyone drinking tonight?
All right, so I'm drinking rosé.
Any specific brand?
Actually, it's I think it's, let me see, Bellissima.
He looked like he was about to like laugh his ass off.
Bellissima.
It has. Yeah, I think it's Bellissima.
I was fully waiting for a Four Loko to come on the screen. I was ready.
I really wish I got a Four Loko Gold.
Amazing.
That's like a joke for my friends. So this wine has a painting of Venus on it, like the birth of Venus.
Like the
Roman, the famous painting. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like the goddess. Yeah, it's pretty tight. It's got like a black.
Speaking of things that are on brand,
going on over it.
I feel like that's kind of on brand for you.
Yeah,
that is on brand. There's actually a song called Venus on psychicADVANCE.
I mean,
I am.
That's actually my favorite song on the album.
Really?
So far, currently, yeah.
So we're having
Venus is my favorite track on the album.
Well, that's a good segue into more talk about the album. You have,
but we're not.
So you have me and
you guys still have to talk about what you're drinking.
I haven't said anything about what I've drank. I'm currently drinking a Pinot Noir. It was $8, $9, but it was like on sale, and it was originally $14. So pretty good deal.
Heavy metal.
I'm
recording.
Getting that Pinot Noir life.
Yeah. Well, dude, the last time I had a beer was like a few days ago, and I felt so bloated and gross after it. I was like, I can't drink beer tonight. Like,
you know what that means, Dan?
What?
It means you're old.
Dude, I'm only 25. I'm not that old.
Dude, you're an old fogey.
I am not.
What did you just call him?
I called him an old fogey.
I've never heard that before.
I forget where I first heard that word, but I do love it. You're a fogey. You're an old fogey. I should probably check and make sure that that's not like a slur.
Yeah, you should probably check that. you know what, AJ, check that.
Yep. That's a good idea. Let's Google that now.
I'm definitely going to check that before this podcast goes up, because that's either going to be really funny that we're having this conversation in the first place, or I'm going to have to cut it all out and formally apologize.
It's not a slur.
It's like
it is not.
Did you already look it up?
A person, I just Googled it. A person, typically an old one, who is considered to be old-fashioned or conservative in attitude or tastes.
Yeah, so you're an old fogey, Dan.
Dude, I'm not.
Also, please censor Google. No free clout.
Let's censor
true. We're
Facebook.
Yeah, we're gonna bleep Google and Facebook in the editing process.
We don't bleep out actual swears. We bleep out like brands that corporations that don't care about us.
True. Well, back on topic. I'll get to my liquor choice. I am also drinking wine. Weirdly enough.
Wine night.
Yeah, it's wine night with the girls.
It's a wine Tuesday.
It's beautiful. Wine night. It is Tuesday. Oh my god.
Dude, I thought
the
it
days
was
of the week
Monday.
mean nothing to me anymore. But yeah,
Nah.
I've got it's from Aldi because I'm a thrifty bitch, and it's called the Exquisite Collection.
You mean
and
broke
it's their-
bitch, but okay.
Not even, man. One thing I can say about quarantine is that I've been able to save ridiculous amounts of money. Like, I'm doing so much better than I have in a while because I don't have any, like, there's no place for me to spend my money besides food and the internet. And I've done a really good job of sitting back and being like, I'm not going to spend money today.
That's fair.
So I haven't. And
For sure.
it's helped.
I feel like
it's helped on so many levels.
I feel like I've been more responsible about spending money too. The most frivolous spending I did over quarantine so far has been I bought a CD player, a portable CD player.
It's like
It was like under 20
it's like a
bucks.
$20
$19.95 called.
But it was like it's like a CD Walkman. It's like an actual fucking. I was like, let me go for the vintage fucking eBay shit.
True.
So yeah, I'm rocking a Sauvignon Blanc tonight.
Sauvignon Blanc. Sorry,
I've got another.
You gotta say it like that.
I hate you. and I've got a Sam Adams Sam 76 on deck because I was at the tail end of this bottle of wine, and I'm probably gonna need another
Sam
drink
76.
because this podcast is already off the rails.
Well,
which is exactly
Adams
how I
flavor
hoped
beer.
it would be.
I got a nip of whiskey and a little seltzer, so that's probably going to be my second drink eventually.
For those of you not from the Northeast, a nip is one of those tiny bottles of liquor that you can get for like $1 or $2.
What do they
at
call
your
them?
local liquor store.
What do they call them in the South?
They call them
Or in New York, for that matter? Because, like, I know in
in New York. I've only heard nip,
Okay.
but I don't think I really ever like went to liquor stores until like college, anyways. So
I don't
That might
know
be-
what they call them down here or in other
somebody
parts
told
of the
me
country.
before. I remember
I feel like they're always called nips.
they're definitely not.
Like, it's not like
There's another word.
It's not like soda, where like everywhere in the United States they call it something different. Like they call it pop or like Coke or
Yo, the first
Salt-
time I went to a fast food place down here and I asked if I could get a Coke with something, and they were like, "Yeah, what kind?" I was
Like
was
a-
unreasonably upset.
like a Coke.
It's like, what do you mean? I asked for a Coke. That's a brand, you idiot.
It's like saying water and then proceeded to ask you, "Oh, what kind?"
I found some people are really, really like specific about what kind of water they like. So I found the Wikipedia page for nips.
Okay. I love
I love how Ken's more on top of this than either of us ever are.
Ken is like the researcher.
This is awesome.
I'm a hacker. So the page is actually called miniatures because they're called miniatures. But they're also, it says miniatures may be used as gifts, samples, or for promotional purposes. Who would have thought? They're also called, in Scotland and the northeastern United States, they're referred to as nips and shooters, and referred to elsewhere as airplane bottles or mini bar bottles or travel size bottles. That's really boring.
That makes sense.
I've definitely heard I've definitely heard people refer to them as just like mini bottles, which is
Yeah, I think, minis and shooters I've heard before too.
I
Let me
think
see
I
if
heard
can find other
shooters
slang.
from somebody in Connecticut once, and I looked at them like they had 3 heads because that's ridiculous.
But if you think about it, like nips, like I don't know. If you say like miniature bottle, can I get the mini bottle of Jack Daniels? That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it seems like mini is a popular one.
Like that makes more sense than nip, even though like I like saying nip.
Nip is fun. It's just like a little nip.
Yeah, just
It's
You know what I mean? It's just like
It's a little nip.
Yeah,
They
just
give
let
you
me-
a little nip of vodka to go in your Cape Codder on the airplane,
yeah, the fucking dude.
because that's all I drink when I fly. It's the only.
Cape Codders.
I never drink cranberry vodka ever if I'm out somewhere. But every time I'm on an airplane, I'm sitting there and I'm like, you know what I would love right now? A can of Minute Maid cranberry apple juice, because it's never straight cranberry juice. And they give you the
That's
nip
hilarious.
of Tito's vodka.
I love a Cape Codder. I'm a big fan of cranberry vodka.
I do.
I think
I'm
that's
just
a
never
classic
in the
combination.
mood.
I do it if I'm at an open bar. Like if
Yeah, it's the real
like
open
if
bar
I'm at
drink.
an open bar, like I was at my girlfriend's.
Are you at open bars frequently?
Yeah,
No.
actually. Kind
What the
of.
fuck, dude?
Wow.
Why are you living
Dan
the
is
life?
like, I get invited into social events. I drink alcohol at the social
Well, here's
event.
the thing. Go to music industry, like, open bar events. They're the best. Like, they have all the liquor, all the wine, all the beer. And
all the music industry.
So Justine worked for a record label late last year, actually, until like recently, actually, like my girlfriend. And I went to the Christmas party and it was like open bar, everything is free. And I'm like, okay, 2 whiskey sours. So I start off the night strong and then I'm just like drinking straight liquor the whole night because like it's free.
I believe you FaceTimed me that night.
Dude, you know what's messed up about that night? I was outside hanging out for a while, doing that, and not weed, and I was just like shooting the shit with somebody, and he's like, "Oh,
I'm recording."
He's like, "Oh, I'm from like Kansas City and blah 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 blah." Like,
you're
like, "Oh," like I was like, "Oh," like we were talking football. And then eventually, as we do, like we're just like 2 dudes like chilling out, like shooting the shit, and
just 2 dudes.
and eventually, like Justine comes and finds me, and she's like, "Oh, what do you do?" Like blah 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 blah. And he's like, "Oh, I'm Big Thief's manager," and I'm like, "Oh, that's pretty cool."
Tight.
Whoa.
So I'm just like
pretty sick.
Talking football with Big Thief's manager like the whole time, just like chilling, hanging out.
Tight.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
That's the advantage of living in Brooklyn, New York.
It's always weird when you come into like those random brushes with like
what?
Yeah.
I mean
that's really the advantage of living in Brooklyn.
I mean, you get to meet like interesting folks, to say the least.
True.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
But it's always funny. I feel like the weird like brushes with it's always weird. I feel like the like random brushes you have with people who are like just like a notch up on like the ladder, and it's just like it's weird because it's never somebody who like is like a household name. Obviously, it's always like someone like Big Thief's manager. Like I don't know. I feel like I've just like met random people who I'm like, whoa, you're pretty cool and like slightly notable, but like I don't know. They seem so out of reach at the same time.
That's kind of the cool part about this whole business is that all the best people, not like the headhunters, not the people that are always trying to like climb up the ladder or whatever.
Yeah.
The people that seem to have like longevity in this business and the people that, you know, are doing it right are just people. Like you just run into dudes at like an open bar event, or you meet them at a store or at some bar or something, and then you start talking to them and you're like, "Oh, like you're involved. What do you do?" And you just have like that's this entire business is just having conversations with people and just meeting them, and like it's right place, right time the whole way up.
Yeah, I would say that.
Definitely.
Although some of the things,
and it's friends supporting friends.
Some of the things you do have to create for yourself, and like you have to be out, make yourself known. But sometimes it is just like right place, right time. Just like you're just like outside the bar like, shooting the shit with somebody.
The weird thing is like not even knowing all the time where or how it even happened. Like for example, like Psychic of Orange played a show with Priests before they like split up. I think they're on like hiatus, or they may have just been like broken up now. But which rest in peace. They're a great band. But they're like I don't know. They're pretty popular. At least they were pretty popular. And they're just a really fucking sick punk band. And I remember we got the email. Like I just randomly got an email from somebody. I think it was their like tour manager or something. And they were like, "Hey, like Priest just listened to your record and they really liked it. Like they want to know if you want to play a show with them at the Space." And I remember my roommate at the time, Jeff, who also plays drums for Psychic. He had their album on vinyl, and I remember because I like woke him up from a nap, which is something that under most circumstances I would never do, and I think it might have been the only time I'd ever woken him up ever.
True.
And I like woke him up and I was like, Jeff, fucking Priest just emailed us. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, they want us to play at the Space. I'm gonna say yes. And he was like, yeah, do that right now. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. And so we did, and then we just kind of like figured everything out afterwards, but we were like so stoked to do it, and they were super, super nice in person. It was also with Empath, so stacked fucking bill. Absolutely wonderful show. We had a really good time, and that was also my first time playing the Space with Psychic, so it was just like, oh my god, it was like a dream come true because it felt like the real like rock band. Like you get to the next stage and you get like a cooler, I don't know, you get a fucking van or whatever the fuck. But like we didn't get a van. We just went and hung out with some people who were cooler than us for a second.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, there's a lot of that kind of stuff that used to go on in that whole, like the whole Connecticut kind of scene that we were living in when we were in college. There's a lot of that just kind of like, because Connecticut's a B market town, so a lot of the times they'll have local openers for shows and stuff like that. So a lot of our friends that were
say
in
that one
bands,
more time.
Connecticut's a B market town.
You just
Oh no.
Connecticut is my favorite town. My hometown is the state of Connecticut. I'm flaming AJ right now.
Well, New Haven's a B market.
That's it. I'm done flaming you. I forgive you.
For music.
No, New Haven is a B market though.
Yeah, you don't get the
No, it's just funny because you called the entire state of Connecticut a town.
Shit.
Connecticut is a B rated is a B market, but it's an A market for pizza.
Oh man. I do miss New Haven pizza.
Yeah, New Haven does have some good pizza. Although I am partial to New York pizza. You know what I care about? I care about Zapardi's. Zapardi's in New Haven.
People at home can't see it, but I'm clutching my heart because, oh my god, I miss Zapardi's. I miss Bar. I miss Zapardi's. I miss
I never
Pepe's
went
Pizzeria.
to Zapardi's, and I'm like.
Did you have... At the final B Pie show, did you have a slice of pizza?
Oh wait, yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's Zapardi's.
Oh shit, then...
Do you remember that though?
No,
You were...
The only thing I remember very select things from that night, and one of which was when Dan destroyed that chair.
Oh god. Okay. We're gonna have to...
Story time.
We're gonna have to rewind with that to explain a lot of things to the viewers who may not know everything.
Anything about what we just said, yeah.
They probably think it's a foreign language. So I guess we should probably get him on the show eventually. Our friend Andy Esborn, he had...
Wait, I'm recording right now, just so you know. Sorry.
He had this great idea to have like a cover band. I don't know what spurred the idea, but like he just created it, and like it was like a bunch of people in it. Like there were so many different rotating members, but like the consistent members in it were Andy, Justin, and like John Martin. Occasionally AJ Lagambina, occasionally Mike Salerno, and there was like a couple other John Kim, like random bits and pieces like thrown in.
Basically the frontmen always changed.
Yeah, every single time. And they did like pop punk covers and like literally like all the 90s class, like Blink-182, Green Day, Weezer, Goldfinger, like you name it, they did it. Like Yellow Card. What else did you guys like? I mean, Fall Out Boy, like a bunch of like all those like old school like pop punk hits. And Andy couldn't think of a name, and then Mike Salerno came in one day and was like, "I got it, Blumpkin Pie." And
please don't Google it.
Should I explain what that is?
No.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Move right along.
You should let the listeners.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're just gonna have to Urban Dictionary.
Just rest assured, it's inappropriate.
I mean, this podcast is not like appropriate at all. This is not appropriate for grandma to listen to. So anyways, Blumpkin Pie was born, did a bunch of shows, like, you know, bar shows and different things. And then the final show was, we have this friend named Alex Levy, and she had this house, and wasn't really a house show venue, but made it a house show venue for like one night called the Powder Room. And one of Ken's other projects played, the project before Psychic, is that a good...
Crystal Clear, yeah.
Crystal Clear.
We can talk about Crystal Clear, absolutely.
Okay. Crystal Clear.
I mean, yes, we can absolutely talk about Crystal Clear. We will talk about that.
So, Ken's project, Crystal Clear. I feel weird saying it's your project. Ken and his friends' other project, Crystal Clear, played, and Blumpkin Pie, it was like their last show, and apparently that one particular night, I was so shit-faced that I broke a chair because I was dabbing too hard.
So let me recount now from my perspective how this went down.
Well, I gave like a brief overview. We can go into nitty-gritty details.
So because I feel like I had a very like a specific point of view, like visually from where it happened. I was like walking. I came up the stairs, and there was like you were like across the living room or whatever that space was. And I remember I like came through the doorway.
Are we talking specifically about the dab?
You. Well, it was violent. Everything about it. I remember AJ. It all happened in slow motion. AJ was next to you. I saw you put your foot down, and I saw where it was going, and I was like, no, but it was too late, kind of thing. And it was just like it was kind of like you know how like the Last Supper, where everyone is like doing like really weird different shit.
Yeah.
Like in that painting, but it's like a one scene and like that's like at the center. That's exactly what it was. It was like framed in such a way where it was literally just like the destruction of the chair, and then that snap was heard around New Haven. And everyone for a solid second, it was literally it was so like theatrical. There was so many things happening. It was like literally I remember hearing the snap and everyone was like, holy shit, what just happened? And I don't really remember what we ended up doing about it, but I just remember seeing the broken chair and being like, holy shit, Dan, you just destroyed that chair.
Well, to give context to this, so I forget who it was, but like, actually, I'm pretty sure like every person in Blumpkin Pie, except for maybe AJ, bought like a 30 rack, and they were just passing them out. And I was...
Now, here's where I come in.
Okay.
To give context, because first of all, despite the fact that I was a participant in such activities, I do not condone underage drinking, etc., yeah, asterisks, whatever.
You're saying it to save face.
My views are not the views of my employers.
Yeah, I'm saving face. So so it wasn't during my set. So basically, we had this show at the Powder Room. We had basically 4 bands played.
No way.
Yeah.
I thought it was 2-band bill.
Nope.
No, wait.
Crystal Clear opened the show, and then there was a kind of like a greatest hits Plumpkin Pie set.
Yeah.
And the B-Pie set there was like an older lineup. So Andy was on drums, Mike Salerno was our frontman, Justin played bass, John Martin was on guitar. And during that set, they played the song Beer by Real Big Fish. And so what we had done was we bought 3 30 racks. I think it was like Natty Ice and 2 Bud Lights maybe.
Something ridiculous.
The 30 racks don't matter. We bought 3 30 racks, and they basically stopped the show in the middle of that second set, and they were like, all right, pass it around. Everybody in the crowd, like, pass it around the crowd. Everybody get a beer. Everybody get a beer. Crack it open. We're gonna play this song. Everybody needs to have a beer in their hand. So they proceed to play Beer by Real Big Fish, and everybody in the crowd has a beer in their hand in order to sing along with the song and to make it a big moment. And it was like, that night was magical. But
that night was a magical night. Yeah, absolutely.
There were entirely too many people that were just so fucked up.
It was also a really low basement, like a really low ceiling, rather.
Yeah, that's another part of setting the scene, is that like it was a cool basement to be in. It wasn't like some of the other basement venues that were around New Haven that we were hanging out in at the time. The ceiling was really low. The cement on the floor was like deteriorating so much that there was just dust from people jumping around and moving and things. It was crazy.
You know, actually, funny enough, I went to a party at that same house like a year after that because some of my other friends just happened to live there. And I just remembered that I was also in that basement drinking Jungle Juice one. That's how I remember.
I think I was... No.
Yeah, Jungle Juice.
Yikes.
So we've done our catch up. We've talked about school memories, nostalgia, stuff like that. We've talked about water, and was there anything else that you wanted to add about the Christmas album, Ken?
No, except for the fact that I listened to the what track was it? It was My Gift to You recently, which I actually put out like a different edit of it on SoundCloud for any of you fun people who want to go listen to that. It's that song was just really good, and I'm really glad that me and Brad got to do that on the Christmas album. But that's all I wanted to say about that.
All right, so we've covered. So this episode, obviously, because we have a special guest, it's going to be a lot about Psychic of Orange. We're going to have a lot of shit to comb through.
To unpack.
Editing wise. But anyway, we'll get back on track. So, Ken, in our little outline here, we've got you talking, you wrote down Blush. Tell us about Blush. What is it? Why is it important?
Blush is my most recent single as of the release of this podcast. It is a song that I hold near and dear to my heart. One, because I mean, coming out of the gate for Psychic Advance, I really wanted to come out with something that was going to be like really exciting and really have that like fun energy that I wanted for the album. And so I feel like that song has that, and it also kind of, I don't know, I feel like it touches on, it's still very, like, I guess it's emotional in some senses. It's a little like, it's not as in my bag as Stuff on Water was necessarily, but I feel like it's still, still talk about feelings. I'm trying to be a little more, a little less apologetic about my my feelings, especially with my music. I feel like I come off so sorry on Water sometimes. Like I feel bad about it, and like on Psychic Advance, I'm really not trying to feel sorry about anything. So that's what somebody should go into listening to Blush. It was definitely like, it was an earlier one for the stuff as far as like when I made everything for Psychic Advance. So it definitely feels like me like departing into that sound more, and I think that kind of made it a really good lead single. But yeah, that's what I have to say about Blush. It was mixed by AJ La Gambina. It was mastered by Brad Teller. It features a guitar solo from legendary Jake Good, who plays guitar for Psychic of Orange and was also in Crystal Clear. Yeah, it's a good time.
I think that's one of the interesting parts about some of the new stuff, and we'll get into the single. Yeah, I think it was Jake who mixed it.
Yeah, Jake did mix that one. My apologies.
Continue. How could you? Giving credit to the wrong person? What the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
Get it together.
Psychic of Orange
be in the liner notes.
Psychic of wrong.
Hashtag Psychic is over.
Psychic
party.
of wrong answers. Oh!
Wow, mic drop.
That was painful.
I'm not gonna drop a mic.
I'll just
but
drop
that's one
my
of the
water bottle.
That is one of kind of the interesting parts. That's one of the more interesting parts about the stuff that I've listened to and that I've been working on for the second album, is that you are kind of going off in some more different directions. You're taking it in more of a you're taking more of like a 1975 approach with a lot of these things, is what I feel like. It's very like eclectic in that it's constantly kind of, you're just constantly kind of taking from all these different genres.
Yeah, it definitely bounces around with a lot of different things in that nature. So I see where the comparison comes from.
Where Water,
I feel like
Water was very cohesive. There was like a very like singular vision with that whole album, and it kind of translates throughout the entire thing. You feel like, okay, there was a sound that you were going for. You achieved that sound, that kind of middle ground between more like that like electronic, like hip hop tinged sad boy kind of lo-fi sound, and like indie rock, like dude with a guitar, sad boy kind of sound. And you
for
kind
sure.
of found
I feel like
you found the middle ground there on Water. Yeah, I don't mean that as a derogatory term at all. That's like,
no, but it's funny because it is true. Like, I'm not mad about it. It's just kind of what it is. But like, I don't know. It's funny.
Anytime I was talking to people about Water, I was always telling them that like, I think the most impressive part about that album was just like the cohesion, that fact that you had like, you knew what the sound was going to be in your head, like you knew what you were striving for, and you managed to do that over, what was it, 13 tracks, where like the whole kind
12,
of album,
12, 13, yeah.
It all kind of, the sequencing, if I may say, the mixing, the like, everything just felt like, it just felt like a total like package. It felt like a complete package, and it felt like a firm statement. And I feel like you're heading towards
right. And I feel like well see, the cool thing about it is like, with Water, I had this idea for like you said, like a kind of streamlined sound, and like I feel like my music is very visually like I'm a very visually inspired person. So when it comes to making the like visual art for stuff, it really drives some of the music. Like I knew for Water, the picture of the water that I used for the background for a lot of the stuff, I had already had and had been planning on using since before even recording a lot of the stuff. And so I feel like just for that reason, that became like a sort of theme, and that's kind of why Water worked out the way it did, because it was just like this idea idea in that sense. And for Psychic Advance, I feel like it does a lot of the same stuff in terms of like, I feel like Psychic Advance is more visual. I feel like Psychic Advance is more visual even than Water. And I feel like hopefully everything will come together in such a way that it'll still all stand together and represent that idea. Cause it is like a lot more like, it's a lot more busy for sure. But I feel like if you look at the art and you can make the comparisons yourself, you can see like almost like you can see why it was more busy. Cause I feel like there's just a bunch of different things going through my head. I feel like in terms of sound, so like I've always considered myself a lo-fi artist, and I feel like with Water that didn't come out 100% like everywhere where I wanted it to be. And I think part of that was because I was very like, because I was so balanced between the sounds that I was drawing from, I feel like I was kind of watering them both down, no pun intended. But now that, so like with Psychic Advance, I was like, I want to play with more extremes. Like I want to do stuff like, if I'm going to do like a fast song, I want to do it unashamedly fast. Like I just want to like do that. And then, you know, make another song slower or something like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I feel like with Psychic Advance, it's a lot more of the extremes in that way. And that is what I'm excited for.
Would you say that your influences in both visually and audio wise, I'm like trying to think of like the best way to put this, like how would you think that how do you think your influences have changed from Water to like Advanced?
So with Water, it's like, well, with Water, I was also coming off of just learning to get to play guitar like well enough to really play the songs that I was writing. Prior to that, I was playing ukulele pretty consistently, and I played other instruments. Like I played cello for like 12 years or something like that. So you know, I was doing a lot of that. And then once I learned to play guitar and I was getting ready to do psychic stuff, I sort of was really, I've always been really influenced by like indie rock and that sort of thing. But I think it's also, I think I've always been influenced by other things. But I when it came to making it, it was more about like the limitations at hand and just the way that I was writing it. Like all the stuff that I wrote for Water was I wrote it in such a way that I could just play it on my guitar and sing it like by myself. And then I went and recreated those songs on my DAW, like on my computer. Whereas like with Psychic Advance, I kind of built it from the ground up with like beats instead of thinking about it as like writing it with my guitar and vocals, right? So like a lot of the songs on Psychic Advance, even the ones that I do have like formal chords for, they're not intended to be played through like that. And like guitar as an instrument, where guitar was a like fundamental, like the backbone of my songs on Water, it no longer was that on Psychic Advance. It feels a lot more like I used it in different ways and did it in ways that were not just like strumming chords all the time. And that just, you know, created different results ultimately.
Well, I think that already kind of comes through from the stuff that I've already started working on in the mixing process for the album and everything. And we'll get into the next single, which is very guitar driven.
Yeah,
that's already, so one of the things that's interesting about that is that Water I wouldn't describe it to somebody as like a guitar album, like as shoegazy and
right.
as, you know, as for lack of a better term, emo as Water is. It's not a guitar album.
Do you know how many people just like crawled in their skin at you saying emo to describe that album?
Oh, I'm aware.
So many people, yeah. But no, but I would agree. Like I don't think I would call it guitar driven like based on listening to it either.
I would describe it.
That's because I'm not a really good guitarist.
I would describe it as like, and you can correct me, but like more of like Porch's Sad Boy album. And I know you're a big Porch's fan. There are one of your big influences.
Definitely, I would say Porch's comes through.
Would you like agree with that like statement?
Yeah, I would definitely say Porch's is an artist that I would like reference. I feel like Water, I was on a more jangle pop sort of like, that was the kind of time I was trying to work with, and especially considering like how live shows panned out with Water, I think it makes more sense if you had seen us live like while we were performing it, because it almost came together more like live, just because it felt more like, though I guess that's more how the songs were initially like made. and I think just by that virtue, it gave it that Porches vibe of like, ew, I hate the word vibe. Give it that Porches feeling of like sort of bandy, but also very much produced and like synthy and in a DAW space for that matter, instead of being a very like live album, because it isn't really, there's not like live drums on it or anything like that. It was pretty much live guitar and live bass, and even that was DI'd, so it wasn't like, you weren't getting the full thing there. But like for psychicADVANCE, it's definitely more like, it's so much more of a laptop album. I wanted it to be like something, I wanted it to sound very much like I made it on my computer, and and I mean, no matter what, it was gonna have to make it on my computer. But
bedroom pop.
Well, I feel okay. So Psychic has always been a bedroom pop, quote unquote, project since like the beginning. Yeah. Like I would say, like even Water stuff is very like, Claro, pretty girl type of thing. Mm-hmm. I would say that the psychicADVANCE is more, I would say it's more like electronic and like has more like synth pop things going on than anything else. I mean, there's definitely some moments that are still very akin to Water in terms of like having like a bandy guitar based sound sort of thing. And then some of them are like, there's like a drum and bass song on there, or well, it's not a drum and bass song, but it uses drum and bass influence. There's some other weird stuff going on there that I don't really know how to describe, but there's a lot more like lo-fi sounds that I really wanted to incorporate heavily in it, which I'm really excited about. I really wanted to push it out of a definable boundary with psychicADVANCE. Some of the songs on it are like really, I don't know, they're like hard for me to describe to people, which I really enjoyed about them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's where I think it's probably a perfect time to segue into the next kind of single. And I think
Headphones.
Single's called Headphones. And I think
Headphones.
I think the cool kind of thing that you're doing with this second album is that you and I have talked at length outside of the podcast about just the like progression in both kind of the like businessy sense and also in the artistic sense. And I think that's kind of the cool thing is that so Psychic starts, right? The first Psychic release is the single that we worked on as part of my senior project, which was 403. And the B-side was, what the hell was the B-side? Blessed. So 403 and Blessed. Both of them were in very demo-ish stages, but that was all live instrumentation trying to capture that more. It was trying to capture that lo-fi kind of pop. It was all live instrumentation that was trying to capture like a glitchy lo-fi bedroom pop kind of sound. And we had like a really professional setting to do that thanks to the university. I played drums on both of those songs, so literally all live band. Everything was recorded live. It was all real people doing the whole thing the entire way through, which was a really cool way to like introduce that project as this really kind of shoegazy indie pop kind of thing. And then to go from that directly into Water, which was basically your next release besides the singles that came out in anticipation of the album.
Right.
And Water presented this really cool, like obviously heavily influenced by lo-fi and kind of SoundCloud hip hop kind of sounds, right? That were all incorporated into this one kind of unique, cohesive vision of an album. And then the Christmas album has some influences that I think are very clearly carried over into this second LP. So now we're here, and now you're gearing up for psychicADVANCE LP2, and you're taking instead of making Water Part 2 or taking one of those sounds and kind of going with that, you have sonically a shit ton of open doors in front of you. You have that lo-fi kind of sound that you can go for. You can go with the more polished side of bedroom pop that you can go towards. You can go full pop. You can go more of the rock and indie rock kind of direction. And instead of taking one of those, you just seem to be taking all of them and going, well, for this song, I'm going to go far down that path. And then for this song, I'm going to go far down that path. And I'm going to bit crush
and then
all the shit on this track as opposed to...
Leave me and my Bit Crusher the fuck alone, okay? I love my Bit Crusher. Thank you. I like all my sounds to sound like 8-bit pieces of shit. No, I think what's cool between like headphones and Blush, I think it's a great range for what you could expect from the new album, but also not at all, because like I totally didn't put out any of the weird stuff first. Like I feel like there's some tracks in there that if you just listen to those singles and didn't ever see us live or hear demos, you would be seriously like, what the hell did I walk into? Because like it's really strange. But then why I think it works is also because the first track on the album, that's not the intro, which is Baby. I'm not gonna spoil too much about it, but it's like both of those things at once. It's got the like guitar-y rock moments, but it's also very much, it's not like, it doesn't sound like Water either. So it's, it's got that like upbeat, it's just a really like jam-packed album altogether.
So
I feel like with the Christmas album was really clean. It was really like I wanted it to go for something a little more, I guess, like radio ready, like shiny pop aesthetic to see what I could do with that. And I feel like with psychicADVANCE, I wanted to take that and then like in the most literal way, like pixelate it and bit crush it for what it's worth.
Yeah,
but
I think that again, I haven't listened to everything. I haven't even gotten to start work on everything, but yeah, that seems to check out. So let's go from that to Headphones, your new track that comes out on May 29th.
Yes, May 29th. Let me double check my calendar to make sure. May 29th, yes.
So May 29th, your next single, Headphones.
Maybe we could do a 30-second preview of it.
We'll definitely put in a little clip of it if you're cool with that, Ken. We'll put it in maybe
with your
episode.
Consent.
Yeah, absolutely. So Headphones, I'm super stoked for. I have a music video for it that I'm still working on. It's actually my first music video I ever like. Well, I did a lot of music videos for A Very Psychic Christmas, and I did one for Water. And for this music video, though, this is my first time ever shooting it and editing it, and I guess directing it as well, like all by myself. So Headphones is actually one of the more recent songs that I like wrote for this album. It's really like I wanted to write a song with a guitar part, but like that wasn't just chords, because I feel like I'm a really chordy guitar player. I like to like play my little rhythm guitar thing and just like strum my chords, but I wanted to do something not necessarily melodic, but just something sort of like you could play it on one string, I guess. And so that's where I came up with like the like lick, I guess, for Headphones. And so I went in with that in mind, and I just kind of wanted to record something that was going to be loud, something sort of like thrashy. I feel like it's not like really thrashy, but like I feel like it makes me want to thrash things around. Something that sort of sounds like it'd be on like a skate soundtrack or something. I don't know. So I wanted to have something that had that kind of energy of just sort of like, yeah, tearing shit up. And Headphones is made.
Did you write it in hopes to be in the new Tony Hawk remastered Tony Hawk 1 and 2?
The day Tony Hawk listens to my music is the day I can die
Tony Hawk
happily.
Sponsor us.
That would be sick.
I feel like if Tony Hawk can come through.
Tony Hawk can sponsor us.
Facts. Tony Hawk can sponsor Psychic if you wanted to. If you're listening, Tony Hawk, please check out my album. Anyways.
Did you know that Tony Hawk has more money than Mitt Romney?
Good. He deserves it. Did you know that Tony Hawk has a son who makes music?
He has what?
Wait. Tony Hawk's son makes music under the name Guppy and is actually cool with like 100 gecs.
That's wild.
They're like, yeah, he makes like noise pop. He's really good.
That's actually pretty sick.
Yeah, it's wild that he is also just Tony Hawk's son.
Anyways, I'm sorry we went off.
But that's fine.
Today I just sent Dan the final master for the song.
True.
Dan, how do you feel about it? What questions do you have? What thoughts do you have? Lay it on us. What are you thinking about Headphones?
I'm getting some very Weezer vibes. I like the poppy sensibility, and I was like listening to it on the liquor store today. I was like, damn, dude, this is a bop. Like driving down the street, like waiting to get some wine in fucking quarantine, dude. Like reminds me of like just like a good old 90s power pop like ballad. Like fucking not just Weezer, but I'm trying to think of like other power pop bands. But like it was good.
I like Weezer is a great reference. I actually like pretty recent, like way more recently than I would like to admit, like listened to Weezer for the first time. Like seriously listened to Weezer. I listened to Weezer Green album. Weezer Green album is a good album.
Dude, Island in the Sun, that is
Island in the Sun that song is very good, yes.
That is one of the
I think
greatest.
Headphones has a very similar vibe. I also
to
hate
Island
that
in
word,
the Sun.
But yeah, it's a very
to me
it's very similar.
To me, Headphones is like Photograph or like what was that other song? Kind of King of the World by Weezer.
If you ever get a chance to see Weezer live, fully would recommend it. I've seen them twice, and they put on a great show every single time.
And get Psychic of Orange on all of your shows.
Yeah, Rivers Cuomo, if you're listening to this, I don't know what to say to you, actually.
He's like the biggest, coolest nerd of all time. Like, he went to Harvard. Like, that's so cool to me.
Did he really go to Harvard?
Yeah,
he did.
That's wild.
Like he got a degree from Harvard.
I'm pretty sure it was in like mathematics or something too. It's crazy.
Something crazy. Like it's like the dude from The Descendants, Milo, like the lead singer. He went to college and is like a biophysicist or something like that. Something like crazy smart.
That's wild.
So yeah, it's definitely the crunchiest song that Psychic has put out once it actually comes out.
It has
to date, yeah.
It has like that in a weird sort of way, it has sort of that SoundCloud rapper vibe to it, but but it's more thoughtful in the way that like it's not like with beats, but it's like more guitar driven with that.
Well, and that's been one of the that was one of the funnest parts about mixing this song, was that obviously it doesn't necessarily come through with the final mix and the final master, because by definition those are the final things. You know, I had a little bit of a say about how those things all kind of sat, but that was one of the cool things about working on this song in particular, was that all of the tracks as they were presented to me, because for those who don't necessarily know how this whole thing has worked between me and Ken with the partnership that we've had since I left the university and left Studio B and stuff. Ken, my entire working relationship with Ken has been them sending me stems, just individual tracks for each song. So I get, somewhere between 10 and 30 individual tracks for each different instrument on each different song, and Ken kind of leaves it to me to go and make sense of all those and put all the pieces together and make some edits and make sure that everything is put together and is a cohesive song. So there are a lot of things going on in this song, and there are some things I added and some things I took away, but there are those electronic elements. There are those multiple vocal takes. There's layers to it that kind of pop up over the course of the song. So there's a cool panned kind of synth part that goes through the song. There's multiple guitar tracks. Some are heavily treated, and some are more just, oh, this is the fuzzy thing that comes up, and that's that guitar part that really gives you that Weezer vibe. So that's one of the most impressive parts about working on Psychic of Orange songs, is there's always, every song that I've worked on with you, except for really that 403 single where it was pretty straightforward, everything that Ken has sent me has been very different layers that could go in very different directions and give you very different feels for each of those songs, but they all seem to come together and make a Psychic of Orange song, which is really cool.
Yeah, I feel like, especially with the with the music video, I feel like it kind of all comes together because the music video is also it's really busy, but also really simple. And I feel like the song does the same thing where it's really busy, but still pretty minimal and pretty like, there's not really like, even though it's like simultaneously there's a lot going on and not a lot going on, weirdly enough. That doesn't really make any sense, huh? Nothing makes sense.
Well, I think the music video, which I have seen, I don't think Dan has seen it yet. But the music video is kind of what ties this song into your previous work, I think, because aesthetically, the music video is very much in the vein of Water and the Christmas album.
Yeah, I would agree.
It's got those elements so that it still feels very distinctly psychic, but the music itself is, like I was saying when we were talking about how you have all these different doors between like indie rock and pop and bedroom pop and SoundCloud, like hip-hop-y kind of influences. Sonically, the song definitely just goes down the indie rock kind of vein, but the subtle electronic elements and the instrumentation as a whole and your voice, those all kind of make it sonically psychic, and then the music video makes it very much like, oh, this is a Psychic of Orange song.
Yeah, for sure. It's fun. I feel like it's my, like, I don't know, it's not my most like ambitious music video by any means, but I think it's definitely got a level of like personality that I've been trying to put into my music videos that I haven't been able to prior. I think like as far as visuals go, I like I said before, I've always been very visually stimulated, and I find like trying to take my sonic aesthetic, which is very based on like circumstance and just kind of like whatever resources I have at the time, and trying to translate that into video stuff is not wasn't the easiest thing to do, just because I wasn't like sure how to really do it all, and I had to I actually ended up downloading a trial of Final Cut Pro in order to make the music video, which I had never used prior to even making this music video. I kind of was just like, I know what I need to get done. I know how most video editing software works, and I like had an idea and sort of just had to really push it to happen, and it now it's come together a little bit. It's like lots of layers of me. I sing on it. I make faces at the camera. That's fun.
And before Dan jumps in with what he was gonna say, I do wanna make the note as far as the voice things are concerned. I was telling Ken off camera or off audio because it's a podcast. Welcome to the world. One of the most interesting parts about this Psychic of Orange song in particular, this is the first song where I, besides just equalization, compression, like basic things to get the voice to sit in a mix, this is the first Psychic of Orange song that I've ever worked on where I have not tuned the vocals. There's no auto tune, there's no waves tune, there's no there's no alteration to the notes that Ken is singing, which just kind of goes to show that like, dude, you nailed it on this one. And there's like four
I appreciate
there's
it.
like 4 or
I
5
feel like that
different
sounds
vocal
really
takes, and it's cool that it's still very psychic without, kind of the manipulation and stuff to make it psychic. It
right.
Just
well,
is.
that's something, yeah, because I guess like auto-tune has been a tool that we've used a lot. That's been like a pretty like consistent factor with psychic stuff. So now thinking about it, it is interesting, but I feel like it's also, that sounds really impressive until you listen to the song, and I feel like the song, like, it's less of a book. I don't know. I guess you mixed it, so it's really, you're the one who would make the decision on this, but like, to me, it feels like it almost suits the song better to not have to not mess with the vocals, as to like almost like putting vocal effects on it would take away from it, because I feel like the sloppiness of the like really natural vocals kind of like adds to it. I don't know.
Well, it gives it that it's part of the reason why it has that kind of Weezer vibe,
Yeah,
it
has that very
sure.
indie rock vibe, because it has that, we keep saying Weezer, but like just that indie rock, that emo vibe, is that it's very just honest. Yeah. And that's part of the thing that I got when I first kind of listened to the song and was trying to make sense of all the tracks that you sent me, was just like, let's go in that direction. Let's get to the most bare bones kind of version of Psychic of Orange that we can get
it's
to.
funny too. I think that the like content of the song makes it really interesting too, because it's like the song itself is really about like having a crush on the internet, more or less. Like, I feel like it's one of the songs that I think very specifically is talking about being on the internet and how like social media plays out in terms of like stuff like that, I guess. Which is not something that I really talk about in my music frequently. I guess maybe now I do a little bit more, but like, you know, I think it's just funny that my first song about the internet doesn't really have any of the like things you would associate with the internet, like autotune or like synthesizers all over the place. You know what I mean?
I think that's real
for sure.
Yeah.
Wow, a lot of things were brought up since, but like I have a couple questions. How much you mentioned Tumblr earlier and how like you used to go on Tumblr all the time, like how much, and Tumblr is such like a visual medium with like,
yeah, definitely,
with like all the things that you see on like Tumblr for sure. How much do you think that has influenced your sort of like music and like your sort of like vibe?
It's definitely like, oh no, continue. Finish your question.
And also, I forget the second part, but I will ask it later. It'll probably come back to me.
Word. So like, I feel like Tumblr and just being on the internet a lot in high school definitely like I feel like Tumblr was the source for all the music that wasn't on the radio pretty much, or like somebody that I knew in person telling me to listen to a song. Like that was my first real source of finding music on my own. Mm-hmm. So like that's what, and like through Tumblr I learned about like lo-fi music and like vaporwave and, you know, all types of internet subculture shit. And so just from like that very basic standpoint, it kind of opened my like world in terms of music. It also definitely like you said, it's a really visual medium, and I think that like being able to just like, I don't know, collect thoughts in a format like that and kind of like talk to people, just like random ass people on the internet, definitely like gave me like, I don't know, an appreciation for sharing things online, because I feel like I talked to a lot of artists and I saw a lot of like people who were just doing art on their own and like making music on their own and recording it, and like that was definitely where I found out about like Bandcamp and stuff like that. So I think the aspect of like community and sharing stuff of Tumblr sort of really made me think like that made me feel like it was definitely possible, if I could get it together, that I could like be able to post music somewhere and be able to share it and have it be heard by anybody ever. Which I guess like until that I hadn't really considered how I would be like sharing my music with people who I didn't immediately know from like school or whatever.
Like one of the things go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. So it really like ultimately just opened up like my ideas of the possibilities of like social networking online. But yeah,
one of the things I loved. So psychicADVANCE recently did a live stream. How many was like the biggest, like the like most amount of people that were streaming it at the one time? Would you say?
I think it was like 50-ish people. I'm not really sure though. I mean, like I remember it was kind of hard to like watch the numbers while you're doing it.
But like one of the things I loved about your whole performance was you had like the whole Game Boy Advance thing around it, and I thought that was I thought that was the coolest shit ever, because I don't know, like I grew up with the Game Boy Advance and loving it so much. I'm like pissed I can't find my Game Boy Advance, and like I want
so let me all right. The thing with that was like I had the idea for psychicADVANCE, and I knew I wanted it to harken towards a more nostalgic, more like, you know, something from my childhood and like PS2 games and like Game Boy Advance games obviously too.
Yeah.
And just that kind of like era of shit, because I think like, you know, the 90s are sort of coming back now, and like 80s has always been like a nostalgic whatever.
There's something comforting about Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, I feel like the 2000s were a time that like that now we're just getting to the point where we can be nostalgic about it, because we're just like coming out of officially like the 2010s.
Yeah.
And so like the logo for psychicADVANCE, I remember like starting it on my own and then not being able to do it, and then Jake actually ended up helping me finish it. And for the live stream thing, when I did the banner, So there's a program called OBS that like that's how people set it all up for like Twitch and YouTube streaming and that sort of thing for like gaming purposes. And I used OBS to do that, and I like went in and it took me like 2 days or something, but I grinded the fuck out of it because I did not know how to use it at first, and I was like, no, I'm gonna make sure this looks like cool as hell. So dude, like I had to like
it was so sick.
I worked so hard on it. I'm so glad you liked it.
Like I was so impressed by it. I was like, wow, this looks like an actual Game Boy Advance.
Doing the streaming shows are like really interesting. It's definitely, there's like pros and cons regardless. It's never gonna replace like a real life show for a lot of reasons, but like it also like I feel like the good part about them was that usually when you say like I'm gonna do a 30-minute set, you really put like a 25 to 28 minute set together, knowing that you might rush some songs if you're playing with a live band, and also that you end up talking between tracks. But because it was like on the live stream and I didn't really like I already knew that my live stream was not going to be synced up perfectly to everybody else's in the first place. So I was like, I'm literally just going to make it an actual 30-minute set and just like run through the entire thing and not like, I don't have to worry about talking in between stuff. Like I can just say like whatever little things I want to say and like keep it moving. Like there's no, I don't know. I guess when you're playing live, like people are like looking at you and shit, so it makes you feel like you need to keep talking.
Right.
Whereas like that was not like that. It was just like I'm just gonna keep playing.
Well, and you guys touched on some of the things that I think are important to the story of both psychicADVANCE and Water. When you're talking about, the nostalgia that, especially people our age have for the Game Boy Advance, or the visuals that you've had on the live streams that you've done, and, shit like that. It's one of the most impressive things that I've ever heard Ken say. And you were saying this right around the time that we started the 403 single, when Psychic was first, kind of starting to become a thing. You were saying, I want to take like 2007, like early YouTube, like that aesthetic, that look, that feeling. I want to take that and make that a sound. And I think that
wow.
Like besides the cohesion part of Water, the actual sound of that album, the visual aesthetic of the album, the actual sounds that you produced that we put together and we packaged together in that more than any band, more than any sound, more than any era of music, really, like that's the thing that I think Psychic has captured so well, even on this album, is like that early YouTube.
See, and I feel like
that 360p 480p sound is like that's the
absolutely.
Aesthetic that is that we're trying for here, and that like that not only does that provide context for people, not only does that provide like context for the sounds that come from your head and go out into the world, it kind of defines what Psychic is, at least right now. Obviously there's room to grow, there's places that you can go that might be outside of that, but that is so integral to, I can't speak for you, but at least for what I'm trying to do whenever I'm like mixing a project for you. That's a thing that I'm always keeping in the back of my mind, regardless of what I'm using for inspiration with the mixes and things like that. It's always trying to go for that, like, all right, I'm looking for that early YouTube feel.
That's so
definitely
crazy.
I feel like since I come back to visuals a lot. No, wait, actually, did you have more comment on that?
Well, like when I think of like 2007 YouTube, I think of like, and I don't even know if it came out in 2007, but like I think of Shoes and Muffins and like that early meme culture. You know what I mean? Like early internet culture. Like internet culture wasn't really a thing until YouTube and like 4chan and like those type of, and like Reddit fucking hit.
Well, yeah, I feel like mainstream internet culture wasn't like, I feel like there was stuff before that, but it wasn't like this big conglomerate of just like shit until, I feel like 2007 was a mark. See, for me, when I think of 2007 YouTube, like the first thing that comes to mind is like, y'all remember those like lyric videos that people would make on Windows Movie Maker with like Comic Sans. Like that was like the first thing that came into my mind, and I feel like because I was thinking about fonts, I feel like Water is very like papyrus font.
Papyrus.
In like the dumbest way, it's totally like papyrus font. Fucking Psychic Christmas is like Times New Roman, but it's like a really shitty attempt at Times New Roman. And then I want to say psychicADVANCE is like Comic Sans. Like in my heart, I wanted it to be Comic Sans. It's not goofy enough to be Comic Sans yet, but like there are definitely moments on it where you're like straight up Comic Sans for sure. Especially the track Confusion Kitty. That one is very Comic Sans.
But yeah, it's that it's less about, I love that Dan touched on like muffins and, you know, that early, you know, YouTube poop, fuck, like all that shit.
The thing is, people love nostalgia. Like when I went to when
I made you a cookie,
we went to college,
but I eated it.
Like and maybe this happened for you, Ken, but like I remember when AJ and I were in college, people would straight up be watching Disney movies. And I was like, I don't like. At the time, I'm just like, why the fuck would you be watching Disney movies? But now thinking back to it,
it's that dopamine hit.
It's that dopamine hit. Something about like I downloaded a emulator to play backyard baseball, like those backyard sports games for like Game Boy Advance.
Yo, I will never forget the one day I ran into Dan in the library, and he was listening to Mazzy Star Fade Into You and playing backyard baseball, and I like the image of his laptop screen is like burned into my head. It was so funny.
Yeah, you guys were just like
sorry.
But it's that kind of feeling that
it's hard to explain, but like I've went back to it recently because of this whole like quarantine situation. Like I downloaded an emulator to play like PSP games because I had a PSP back in the day, and like I played with it occasionally, and I'm just like, this is sick. Like I'm so stoked to have this.
Yeah.
Like I remember these games, like playing them, and like I have so many fond memories sitting in my basement, like eating Doritos, like doing nothing, like all day long, playing them.
Yeah, so tying it back into when I compared Psychic of Orange to the 1975, right? The 1975. One of the reasons why I personally love them, and one of the reasons why I think that they are so successful and resonate with so many people, is that they're taking, similar to Psychic of Orange, they're taking a metric shit ton of disparate, you know, influences and putting all those sounds together. But so much of what they do is through the lens of 80s music. It's Tango in the Night, it's Phil Collins' discography, it's that 80s, so much of those 80s sounds are prevalent through 99% of their tracks, and kind of
which is
add
ironic
that
for a
line.
band called the 1975.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's their through line. That's their through line through all those different sounds. They filter all of these influences from a bunch of different eras into one sound. They take all these different influences and put them all through that lens of 80s music. That gated snare, that kind of Tango in the Night by Fleetwood Mac is probably the best example of that. They take all of those sounds and filter them through that, right? That's, at least in my mind, and Ken, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Psychic of Orange has the potential to do the same thing through the lens of early YouTube nostalgia. Take all of these different influences, take garage rock, take indie pop, take lo-fi, YouTube lo-fi beats and SoundCloud rap, and take all of these influences that don't necessarily work together, but put them all through the lens of early YouTube 480p 360p sound.
Definitely.
And now you have a cohesive thing that, even though it draws from so many different things, and maybe one song doesn't necessarily sound like the same band as the previous song, you have that through line, and that's the thing that impresses me and excites me so much about being able to work on some of these songs. like there is that overarching artistic vision that's so impressive.
For sure. I feel like, well, that's really sweet. I feel like it's the way I look at Psychic of Orange is it's like a TV channel. It's kind of like there's like different shows going on, and so like sometimes you're just like dropping in on a different show. And you can interpret that however you want. I feel like there's different ways to take that sentiment and kind of apply it to Psychic of Orange as an entity. But like overall, it's it's like one thing, but it's multifaceted, and I think like as a musician today, like there's no reason to like confine any project to like one thing or the other. Like I think ultimately like having cohesion and having direction is important, but it also, for the sake of like control, to say like I don't know, to edit down something feels like it feels almost wrong. It just doesn't feel like that's what you should do with it, because if you're making music organically, like you should just let it rock and you should just let it be together. And there's certain things that there are sounds that people might not think belong together, but like within the right context can coexist pretty well. And I think, like you said, with like the 1975, they do that. I mean, not everyone agrees that they do it well is the thing too. That it's risky. It's definitely not something that is like super well received to just like throw like a UK garage song on like a random ass fucking Tumblr pop album, in terms of the 1975 that is. But like they still did it, and it still was good, in my opinion. And I think like with the context of who they are and like what their music is about, and what they like to talk about and what they're influenced by, like it makes sense. And that's, I think, what's cool about them too is like if you listen to them when they produce for other people, for example, No Rome, who's an artist that they work with a lot. I think Maddie and George from the 1975 produced like all of his stuff, and that stuff sounds a lot more like like Two Time and like How to Draw type of thing, instead of it's not living if it's not with you or something. I don't know. But like with Psychic, I find it's just more fun to put that all in one place, and especially with psychicADVANCE, I think like there is so much more variation on it, but like it's better for that than if I were to try and necessarily take one sound and like stretch it over an album. Yeah, I mean, and that's not even to say like it's not that I get bored of sounds quickly. It's just that I feel like I have a lot going on in my mind, and for me, making music is very like a stream of consciousness thing. It's just kind of like I'm not trying to like, I want to push myself, but I don't ever want to force my music to be a certain way. So yeah, I think ultimately it's a lot about like letting myself write and letting myself make whatever the fuck I want to make in that moment, and then worrying about putting it together later.
For sure.
Fair, yeah.
For sure.
Does anybody have anything else that they feel integral to add as far as Psychic of Orange is concerned? Is there anything? We'll get to recommendations and plugs for other shit that we're doing in a minute, but is there anything else that, Dan, are there any other questions? Anything else that you want to add?
I think that's about it. Like, stoked about the new project, man. I'm stoked about the new project, and hope everyone checks it out once it comes out.
Cool. Ken, anything else that you wanted to touch on specifically?
I'm really excited about psychicADVANCE, and I hope everyone does listen to it when it comes out. It's like some of the most fun I've ever had. So,
As tradition on this show, we do recommendations at the very end. Ken, do you have any recommendations besides your album for the viewer, for the listeners?
I do, actually. So can I do two? Is that possible?
Yeah, you're our visitor.
I have.
Do it.
So I mean, one of them, I feel like
it can be anything, by the way.
All right. I already knew what I was gonna say once you said that. My recommendations are How I'm Feeling Now by Charlie XCX, first of all. So that all I gotta say is like I'm a huge fan of Charlie XCX, like such a big fan of her, especially with PC music stuff. That's like she can do no wrong in my book. And her new album is just like a perfect like example of that. Like she just no misses. It's like all hits. It's so good. It's really good. And Crap Shit is the name of the album. The album is called Crap Shit. Let me turn up my gain so you can get this nice and ASMR-y. Crap shit. Crap shit. Crap shit. Crap shit. It's called Crap Shit by Girls Rituals. Girls Rituals is Devi from Black Dresses, which is a band I love to death. They are just so fucking good. They're like a noise pop band, but Girls Rituals is also like noise pop stuff from Devi. She is just an incredible person to work with. She's somebody I have worked with recently and have recently become friends with on the internet, and somebody I actually really look up to as well. But she put out her new album, I think like this past weekend it was, and that album is just, it's incredible. There's a track on it that she flips like a G6 by Far East Movement, so that's what you have to look forward to. But it's bonkers, like all the way through. So yeah, those are my recommendations.
Cool. Dan, you got anything?
My recommendation this week is a band, and they've been doing some not new music, but they've been doing new different recordings of their new songs, or like older songs, I guess. And they're called the Honest Heart Collective. And if you are a big fan of the Gaslight Anthem, and you're a big fan of like Bruce Springsteen and like those type of like artists that talk about like hard work and all that other like American type of BS. I don't know why I'm saying that. That's the type of thing for you. Like they're kind of punky. They're kind of they have some good lyrics there, and I would recommend them. They just came out with some songs from their previous album in different takes, and they popped up in my Spotify artist release radar, and good shit. I would suggest listening to them. Honest Heart Collective.
Cool. I'm throwing it back a little bit for my recommendations this week. The sun's been out, been taking some drives on this quarantine, just exploring a little bit around the city and everything else, just trying to kill some time. I've been listening a lot to the band All Get Out. Specifically,
it's all right. That's
from this EP, their Movement EP, which came out on Bad Timing Records. Really cool, kind of dynamic rock, more kind of aggressive indie pop leaning kind of thing. It's really good. It's all right. It's a good, it's a good EP. Good guys. Just a real big fan of that band. Been listening to them a lot, so I recommend you go check out All Get Out in general. But the Movement EP specifically is one of my favorites, so go check them out for sure. So yeah, thank you Ken. Thank you, Ken, Psychic of Orange, for coming out to the podcast, hanging out. Thanks for listening to the Packie Run podcast. Be sure, if you're on Facebook and whatever, Ken, when is that next live stream going to be coming out?
It's going to be on the 23rd. I have a show with Sam Naz and Woozles, who are two of my favorite, like, Connecticut musicians fucking ever. And I'm, like, so excited to have a show with them, but also very sad that it's under these conditions. But hopefully, in real life we can reprise this. It's a Facebook event. I've been doing Facebook event shows just because that's kind of like the most set up medium that way. I'm planning on, I want to try different stuff out though. I might try an Instagram stream or like a Twitch stream and see how it works out for the future. But this one is on Instagram, or is on Facebook rather. This one is on Facebook. Yeah.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Well, Ken, thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for letting me ramble.
Yeah, thanks for coming on and bullshitting with us. We'll catch you guys next week. Thanks for listening to the Packie Run.
We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Wired headphones to